Okay, who is Dave Asprey? He is a self-described biohacker, which means he basically uses science to try to maximize his health as much as humanly possible. Not only through nutrition, but through biofeedback, neurofeedback, cerebral electrical stimulation, and a bunch of other really obscure types of technologies which have been proven to be highly effective and which are somewhat outside the mainstream. And he's very into self-experimentation and the quantifying, that is, getting the numbers on everything he does. He tracks his blood levels of vitamins and minerals to make sure they're at optimum levels. He tracks his neurological functioning through EEG machines. He looks at all his major bio indicators, all his major biological signs to see how well he is functioning. And why is this? He used to have very severe neurological and health problems. He was obese, and he was borderline Asperger's. His brain was not functioning very well. It was due to extreme mold exposure. But he was able to rid himself of that mold exposure, but then he had a severe allergy to mold, which became a problem because so much of the food that we have nowadays from major industrial sources is contaminated with mycotoxins, which are the leftover toxins from mold. And you'll find it in over 93% of corn, you'll find it in a lot of wheat, and he's sort of a canary. So he has to eat a very low mycotoxin and generally a low toxin diet in general. He stays away from anything that could potentially hurt his health just because his health is so fragile at this point. But despite that, when someone does experience something very severe to their health, they tend to become so extreme that they'll exceed a normal, healthy human being in their performance. And this was Dave's been able to do because he was able to become so successful. He's earned millions through Silicon Valley enterprises, through entrepreneurial enterprises, and through now his vice presidential position. I believe he's a vice president at a major cloud computing organization. And so he was able to spend a great deal of money getting the best scientific treatments possible. And you'd spent over $250,000 on all sorts of supplements and very expensive treatments to really hack his biology. And now it seems he's been doing very well. He's not as popular as he really should be. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and that's how I learned about him. What's transpired just very recently is that his partner in crime, Armi Legge, he's left the Bulletproof executive, and on his Twitter, he said that the diet, he's left it. He doesn't follow the Bulletproof diet anymore because it is unnecessarily restrictive, because it's not suited for endurance sports. It's not suited for sports in general, and because it's not science-based, which is untrue. If you look at what Dave is saying, and then you look at what you read in Men's Health and what you're reading in other major health publications, what he's saying is not completely contrary to the science, because you'll read a lot of things in Men's Health which agree with him. He just takes everything to an extreme, and he's taken the science as the foundation and created a very specialized sort of diet, which is not necessarily restrictive. It exists on a spectrum of this shit is terrible for you, this is somewhat better, this is better, this is better, and this is awesome. So he doesn't really restrict anybody from anything. Though he does bash on endurance sports, saying that if it's fun, do it, but it's not really good for you because of the amount of strain it puts on your body, which is true. The first person to run a marathon did die, and then professional athletes don't live quite as long. They don't have as long as longevity as someone who doesn't do that and takes care of himself. I'm not sure if they must live longer than the general population, right? Compared to the average American, a professional athlete, I would imagine, would live longer. But I know I've seen studies that that sort of extreme physical exertion it's not good for you in the long run. Even if you do something like run a marathon compared to doing football, which obviously has severe neurological strains from the amount of impact and the amount of you know, strain that you're putting on your body just through injuries. But I'm not sure why Army is so. He seems very bitter, and I don't know why. I know that they had slightly different views on some things, but they're very aligned in others. And Dave's thing is science-based, but I don't think you need to be, you know, I don't think you need to be as necessarily as concerned about mycotoxins as Dave if you're not a canary. But you should, as much as possible, try to eliminate as many toxins as humanly possible, and just keep them out of your diet. And don't do stupid things like drink fluoridated water, because it is retarded. It's just completely absurd that you would take in sodium fluoride, which has no natural place in the world as something a human being would consume, and you can't control the dosage if you're getting it through tap water. Anything that you're going to take into your body, if you can't control the dose, it's retarded. Okay, so we need a certain amount of calcium fluoride, arguably, in our diet, but you want to determine the exact dosage, because if you get too little of something, it's bad for you. If you get too much of something, it's bad for you. It's, this, even if fluoride, calcium fluoride is good for you, I don't think sodium fluoride, there's been no studies proving that has any, positive effects on you whatsoever. It's like, two completely different chemicals. One's a natural occurring thing, and another's completely synthetic. You need to control the dosage. Why would you put something in the fucking water? Do we put vitamin D in the water? Do we put vitamin C in the water? Do we put, any vitamin or mineral in the water? No. Because you can't, some people aren't going to drink any tap water whatsoever, so they're not going to get it. And some people are going to drink way too much, and they're going to get way too much in their diet. And then they're going to have fluorosis, which has occurred in many places where they get way too much fluoride in their diet, and you'll have these kids getting fluorosis, and even adults getting fluorosis because they get way too much fluoride in their diet. Well, why would that fucking happen? Because you don't put anything in the fucking water. You don't put, if it was like mother's milk and just completely good for you, you don't put vitamin C in the fucking water. If you could just put that in the water and have it as a water-soluble vitamin, you still wouldn't do that. Because some people are going to have bad reactions to it, they're going to be allergic to it, you don't know what other drugs they're fucking taking, you have no clue what someone's unique circumstances are. They might not realize that this thing is in the water, and they might be taking a fluoride pill, and then they drink the fluoridated water, then the overdose occurs, and then it can be very, very bad for you. Now, personally, I don't think that calcium fluoride has any place. You get other forms of calcium. You can get calcium D-glucarate. You can get the calcium that's in milk. You can get all these other forms of calcium. You don't need calcium fluoride, calcium fluoride or whatever. Sodium fluoride has no fucking place. It does not strengthen your bones. Calcium fluoride does, and that's what we used to use, but sodium fluoride is cheaper, but it's not going to do any good for you, in my view. I'm not an expert on the subject. I haven't looked at all the literature. I haven't seen debates on the subject. I haven't sat down for hours and looked at all the opposing viewpoints and really applied rigorous logical reasoning to the subject, so I'm not going to speak out of line and say that positively, absolutely, sodium fluoride is not good for you. I would not, from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've researched, just from a purely logical, rational point of view, I would not take in sodium fluoride I would not ingest it. I would brush with calcium fluoride, and I wouldn't even take in that, because I'm not convinced that it is the best form of calcium you need to take into your body. And you need to be taking vitamin D to get calcium you need to take it with vitamin D and vitamin K2 in order to ensure that the calcium actually gets into your bones. No one's, if you're going to take fucking calcium, You need to make sure that most people are terribly deficient in vitamin D. Most people are chronically deficient in vitamin K too. So you can give them all the fucking calcium in the goddamn world, it's not going to get into your fucking bones. Okay? Now, if I had a child, I would give them, a proper calcium supplement, not too high, not too low. I would track their blood levels, and this is what we really should be doing.